What is up, everybody? You are checking out the Uncensored Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, the Hot Commodity Ant C, and you are checking out our AEW Collision report from September 23rd, 2023, live in Grand Rapids, Michigan. We start out our night with a triple threat match for the TNT Championship. The AEW TNT champion Luchasaurus defending against Darby Allin and his friend Christian Cage. And Christian has been holding the title even though he is not the champion. And it's essentially going to be a handicap match here, but Darby definitely gave it his all. He did many different moves. And actually, the ending comes after Darby hits Luchasaurus with a coffin drop, and then Christian Cage tosses Darby Allin out of the ring, and Christian Cage pins his friend and current TNT champion Luchasaurus. And now Christian Cage is our new AEW TNT champion. And immediately Christian has Luchasaurus hold him on his arms, and Christian is in all his glory as a new TNT champion. He ends up hugging Luchasaurus, and it was a good moment there for Christian Cage and new TNT champion. We then see a package from Rampage where Sammy Guevara trashes Chris Jericho, and then Chris Jericho comes out and attacks him. Inosuke Takeshita attacks Jericho with a chair, and then Kenny Omega runs down and helps Jericho. We see Don Callis backstage with Guevara and Konosuke, and Callis challenges Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, and Chris Jericho to a six-man tag against Sammy Guevara, Will Ospreay, and Konosuke at Wrestle Dream. That will be a huge match if they accept. We see TNT champion Christian Cage backstage with Luchasaurus. Christian says, "I'd like to dedicate the win to Nick Wayne's mom and his dad." And then we find out that Christian will defend the TNT Championship against Darby Allin at Wrestle Dream in a 2 out of 3 falls match. We then have Rob Van Dam teaming up with the FTW champion Hook, taking on Matt Menard and Angelo Parker with Jake Hager and Anna Jay. And this match was pretty much made for Rob Van Dam to show off his skills. I'm impressed. He still got it. He was able to hit his slingshot kicks, his spinning heel kicks, and his famous moves. The end comes after Hook applies the red rum to Angelo, and Rob Van Dam nails a 5-star frog splash. And RVD and Hook gets the win here. Rob Van Dam looks great. We then see Julia Hart with Brody King defeat Kiera Hogan after Julia says, after the match, she defeats after locking in. I call it the Regal stretch. Afterwards, Sky Blue runs down, and Julia sprays mist in Sky's face. Brody King says, "Chris Statlander at Wrestle Dream, put your title on the line against Julia Hart." And Julia says, "But remember, the house always wins." So Chris Statlander versus Julia Hart definitely will be a decent match. We see a promo for the Righteous, and then we see Andrade El Idolo taking on Jay White with the Guns and Juice Robinson representing Bullet Club Gold here. And this was a great match, a lot of back and forth action. The end came after Andrade applied the figure eight. However, Juice hits Andrade with a plaque, and then Jay White nails the Blade Runner, and Jay White steals the victory over Andrade in a decent match here at Collision. Next, we see Ortiz. He's giving a promo. He calls Santana a keyboard warrior and says that Santana cannot run forever. We see the AEW Tag Team Champions FTR defeat the Workhorsemen after Aussie Open confront FTR, and it's just a battle of words between these two teams. I'm excited to see them go at it at Wrestle Dream. We see CJ Perry backstage being interviewed. CJ says Miro lost his way. He is thinking about temptation, and then Miro shows up and says, "My temptation is you, but yours is AEW." CJ says, "You take your path, and I'm going to take mine. If you love me, please don't put your hands on anyone I plan on managing." And then Miro walks off. So it looks like CJ Perry is going to be doing her own thing. We then get our main event here, the Texas Death Match, Bryan Danielson versus Ricky Starks. And this was a all-out brawl between these two. We saw chains. We saw Ricky Starks get busted open. Bryan Danielson get busted open. We saw them fight in the crowd. Ricky Starks dives over onto the fans. We see a moment where Bryan Danielson applies the yes lock, that's what I call it, using the chain, and then Bryan kicks Ricky Starks in the face with a chair, and then he stomps Ricky's face in many times. And the end comes, Bryan wraps the chain around his knee and nails the Psycho knee to Starks, and Starks cannot get up the 10 count. Bryan Danielson gets the victory here in the Texas Death Match. It was a decent match, basic AEW Extreme Rules style match. The Texas Death Match is famous. Back in WCW, they're going to utilize it here in AEW. Bryan Danielson looked great. Ricky Starks looked great too. So two great athletes going at it. And it looked like Ricky Starks was approaching Bryan Danielson at the end of the show, but the show cut off. Next up, we got Dynamite, and then we have AEW Wrestle Dream. I'm excited for that. I want you guys to make sure you subscribe, like, hit that notification bell on YouTube to stay notified. Listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and wherever you get your podcasts. Stay safe and stay uncensored.